primer, brow pencil, foundation, concealer, contour, blush, highlighter, eyeshadow, powder, eyeliner, mascara, and more. The average woman uses 15 products in her morning routine. But what are the products in these everyday routines? Surely we have grown from the start of cosmetics. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry after all. But beauty secrets have a whole new meaning when you look behind the label of your makeup products. Cosmetic regulations by the FDA had a gap of 80 years, meaning your cosmetics have not been regulated since 1938. Since then, we've had personal computers, microwavable ovens, color television, crash dummies, credit cards, digital cameras, and satellites. But we're using the same makeup products? We have been to the moon and back, but can't keep our daily rituals clean?
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Change is upon us. Are you ready?
If a company has an ingredient listed on their label called fragrance, that's basically like considered a trade secret, and they don't have to disclose all the ingredients that are in that fragrance.
52% of 200 makeup products tested contained harmful forever chemicals. Now, forever chemicals never leave your body. The more you're exposed to, the more harmful it is for your health.
If a company has enough money, they can settle those disputes out of court. They can silence people very quickly, and that is what has happened.
And advocates point to scientific studies showing those chemicals decrease fertility, cause allergies, and are even linked to cancer.
But the industry is largely unregulated by the FDA, which cannot require cosmetics companies to prove a product is safe before it goes to market.
And they concealed it. They literally concealed it.
I had a customer one time that asked me if I had to be a chemist to do what I do, and I was like, no, that's the other guys. You really have to know how to follow recipes, and you have to know what's the difference. Like, I know sodium lauryl sulfate, propylene glycol, artificial dyes and colorants. You just avoid them, really. You don't have to have a chemical license to make natural products. You have to have a chemical license to make the commercial products, which should tell you probably shouldn't be putting that on your skin. So even shea butter, a lot of times you'll look at a product and it'll say on the label oatmeal, and you'll think, wow, that's natural. And you turn it over and you read oatmeal's the only natural thing in there. There's 15 other things that you can't pronounce, you have no clue, and if you looked them up, you'll know they're not natural. But they're promoting oatmeal or shea butter or something that you're familiar with to get you to buy it and assuming it's natural. When you look at my products, you can pronounce everything in them, and you have most of them in your kitchen. And I don't notice it now because I already have switched everything, but I've had so many people during COVID, they went back to what they had. One woman was saying that her husband broke out all over again when he went back to his whatever brand soap it was. I went and bought a bunch of commercial products, and I bought 3 different bars of soap, and I realized they were called moisture bars, baby bars. They were not called soap, because legally, truly, you cannot call something a bar of soap if it doesn't have lye in it. There was no lye in it. Huge difference.
In 2020, the beauty industry faced an unexpected crisis. In fact, in 2019, the global market grew by 4.9%, reaching an impressive $55.7 billion in sales. The cosmetics segment was predicted to grow by $4 billion by 2020. However, by March 2020, everything changed. The COVID-19 pandemic sent shockwaves through the industry. In the United States, the beauty sector's revenue dropped by 7.4%. As millions of people shifted to working from home, 90% of women reported using little to no makeup during the workday. Retail spending on makeup products plummeted, with consumer spending down to as little as 20%. The beauty industry faced a staggering projected loss of $175 billion in revenue.
But with the pandemic, we saw how quickly we could influence the cosmetic industry, or really any industry, because since we weren't using makeup, cosmetic sales dipped dramatically. And then the companies had to listen to us because we weren't going to buy something if they weren't going to give us a product that we really wanted. And also the bottle that it's in. If it's made out of plastic, and in particular, really poor plastic, microplastics could be in your makeup now. So I think a lot of cosmetic companies today are having to reevaluate and relearn their audience.
The frustration over the lack of communication between business and consumer in the cosmetic world eventually reached a boiling point, leading to the long-awaited action from the FDA. In response, the Modernization of Cosmetic Regulation Act of 2022 was introduced, marking the most significant expansion of the FDA's authority to regulate cosmetics since the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act of 1938. This new legislation gives the power to the FDA to require cosmetic manufacturers to register their facilities and provide a list of their products, including all ingredients used in their cosmetics. However, the US still lags behind when it comes to cosmetic safety. While the US has only 11 banned ingredients, Europe has over 1,300. Despite the promise of greater oversight, the new regulations didn't remove a single toxic chemical from the market.
I mean, it took the FDA decades to say smoking caused cancer, so, you kind of have to use your own logic and common sense to and how you feel intuitively. Do you feel it's safe for you? Well, as a former high school teacher, I taught ninth graders, and so girls are super insecure about their changes that their skin's going through, and they all want to use makeup to cover up. They're starting them being insecure early, and so it's horrible, first of all. I don't have a problem with young girls wanting to wear makeup, but are they wearing makeup because they think there's something wrong with their face, or are they putting it on like earrings or jewelry or bows or ribbons? So that's the bigger question. But I mean, they're introducing the chemicals at an early age. And so then after that, I was like, okay, well, I'll create all the foundations and names of affirmations so that every time we put on our makeup, we have to say something nice about ourselves. So the names are called like, I am joyful, I am powerful, I'm creative, I'm exquisite, I'm loving, I'm divine. The idea that they're training the young girls to be insecure, because when you're young and you become a woman, you don't stop being insecure, you grow into being insecure because you've never stopped being insecure. So it just, follows you for the rest of your life until you break that cycle.
What inspired you to open your company?
Well, first of all, I'll say that it was never meant to be a business. My husband was diagnosed with a brain tumor on Christmas Eve, 2009, and we were coming home from the neurosurgeon, and I asked him when we were going to do it. He said to me, we're not going to do it. And I said, what are we going to do? He said, I don't know, but we're not going to do that. So he was determined not to go the typical medical route. So we just started looking into natural options, went to a naturopath in Atlanta, and realized we had to change our diet. We had to change what we were eating, what we were drinking, and even what we were putting on our skin. Just realizing he was spending so much time detoxing, pulling toxins out of his skin, and then we were putting toxins back on his skin with normal skincare. I had a friend who made soap, and she taught me how to make soap. So I had more soap than I could use, started giving it away, and my friends wanted to buy it. So I started doing farmers markets and festivals, started buying essential oils because I didn't want any chemicals. I knew that, and I've not strayed from that. We don't use any artificial ingredients, they're all natural. And then realizing it wasn't just soap, and it morphed into deodorant and cleaners and sunscreen, bug repellent, stuff you put on your hair, just really everything that you're putting on your body or inhaling needed to be chemical free. So he lived 4.5 years after he was diagnosed and had an incredible quality of life. We're so thankful, and we don't have any regrets. So after he passed away, I realized I needed an income. I had 5 children, and I didn't want to I was homeschooling, so I couldn't just go put all my kids in public school and get a job, and I was already partially in and loved what I was doing, and I already had a clientele. So I just went all in. I converted my garage into a soap shop, and I added. And so now we make over 35 different natural products in multiple scents, all essential oils. And I try to keep my prices affordable. I want regular people to be able to afford, because that's why I did it. I couldn't afford to buy natural, chemical-free everything. So I don't want anyone to not be able to do that if they're ever in the situation that I was in.
I think it's so important that we as consumers really do hold companies accountable and tell them exactly what we want. And if they are engaging in some really unethical practices or using harmful ingredients, the only way that you will truly make a change to that is just to stop buying it. So the only way to really get true clean products is to stop buying or giving any money to the companies who are not being transparent and ethical with their products. I think we tend to project a lot of our deepest fears and anxieties on to cosmetics because of what they're representing, which is, youth, fertility, sexuality, reproduction. And we've always had a tendency to do that as humans, no matter what civilization we're talking about. It's just the manifestation is the product now, but there's a deeper projection going on there.
I just want us all to be the healthiest possible, mentally, physically, spiritually. I mean, it's all a part of the whole package of, aging well, growing old, being healthy while you do it, and happy and joyful. So my whole thing is about radiating all that joy and happiness, and not falling into the traps of insecurity and, thinking there's something wrong with you and you're not pretty enough, you're not good enough, and ew. And so it's kind of, I think that's what my passion has been in the first place. And that's just my personal lifestyle. I eat as healthy as I can. I exercise. I, think good thoughts. I speak kind words. So that's just kind of the whole package of what I practice in life.